I broke my back.
Bedside with Benty.
Spinal.
Yeah, he was off Friday. He's off all week because he had a floating bone removed in his little hurty foot. And he's at home all week. So we thought we'd check in with him and say hello, good afternoon to Darren Bent. You all right, Benty?
How you doing, gentlemen? You all right?
Benty, how are you, mate? Have you got it in a little jar above the, like on the windowsill, the floating bone?
No, I haven't, to be fair. I've not seen where they've actually put the bone, but yeah, it's I wouldn't say it's nice to have a bit of time off, but yeah, my foot certainly feels a little bit swollen, a little bit sore, but you know, I'm a fighter.
I heard they wheeled you into the theatre the wrong way around and you had a couple of teeth removed. Is that right?
Honestly, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
Bentley, listen, before we talk about Arsenal, I'm going to ask you a question because you're involved in it. Our no Googling question was, in 2008, Man City lost 2-1 to Spurs. You scored 2 goals for Spurs, but in that game, 3 players were sent off, 2 for City, 1 for Spurs. Do you remember who they were?
So for City, 1 was Fernandes.
Yes.
And the 2 for 1 was Richard Dunn.
Yes, and 1 for Spurs.
And the 1 for Spurs was, I don't know, I couldn't tell you.
Fullback. Drove a little
Chimbonda?
car. No, drove a little car. Smart car.
Didn't like football.
Oh, Asul Koto.
Is the right answer, yeah. Well done.
Yeah. Right, two great goals, by the way.
Yeah, of course they would be, yeah. That talkSPORT mug is on its way to you. Listen, Benty, firstly, how are you feeling? Is everything okay? Everything went well with the operation? You good?
Yeah, I'm all good, yeah. I'm all fine. As I said, it's just a lot of resting and stuff, but yeah, I'm fine. I'm all good.
Okay. We got you on, of course, to talk about your Arsenal, because we haven't spoke to you since they got dumped out of the Europa League, Benty.
No, what you mean when they beat Palace 4-1?
No, just before that, when they lost in Europe. Remember? They lost.
No, I can't remember that.
Oh.
I can remember the result on Sunday, though, the performance against Palace, and what a performance it was.
Okay, before we talk about that, how do you feel genuinely about being dumped out of Europe? Do you think, every cloud and all that nonsense?
No, I was gutted that they went out. And, I said to you before on the show, I didn't want Arsenal to prioritise anything. I wanted them to go for both trophies, give it everything for both, because if you try and prioritise one and that doesn't come off and you end up with nothing, it's a bit disappointing. So I wanted him to go full strength. He went strong. They weren't good enough, unfortunately, got beat on penalties. And then obviously now it all rides on the Premier League now.
Yeah. What about Saka, Benty? How well is he playing? He is some player, that boy, isn't he? Every time I go and watch him play, he makes the difference. He sets them up. He assists. And he works unbelievably hard for the team. I just think he's such a good player.
Do you know what, Andy? He's been outstanding this season. And not only that as well, if you look at some of Arsenal's lesser performances and the results, that's because when other teams have doubled him up or made it really difficult for him. And I think that's how you have to mark him, because you've seen it when he's 1v1 with anybody, whether it be Luke Shaw, who's having a good season at United, whoever it may be, he's going past them like they're not even there. And when you look at the front three with him, Martinelli, who's playing really well, Trossard, that false 9, Arsenal have some serious options, and then Gabriel Jesus coming off the bench.
Yeah,
Arsenal are in a really good place right now.
Yeah, well, and look, obviously everyone's now starting to try and ascertain where they might find it very difficult. Now, you still got to go Anfield, still got to go Newcastle, and City,
and Chelsea. They've got to play as well.
So there's still some tough ones to come. There's some big games to come. What out of those ones, apart from City, the obvious, Benty? What are the games that you particularly have got, I don't know, reservations, a few doubts about?
Well, do you know what? I would obviously City's the one, but I think before we even get there, I think there's an opportunity. If Arsenal can get past, I think Leeds, which is their next game at home, Manchester City have got to go to Anfield, so that might extend the league again to what could be 10 points. Yeah. So that might help Arsenal. But I think the game against the one when Arsenal go to Anfield, I think that's the test, because at one stage you would have said, well, I think Arsenal can go there and get a result. But then when you see what Liverpool did to Manchester United at Anfield, they can do that to you. So that's probably the one game I'd go, I'm a little bit apprehensive about. Newcastle will be difficult. I'm under no illusions. But I think the Anfield one, because Arsenal haven't got anything at Anfield for years. So I think that's probably the one you'd go, can they go and do something that they've not done for a long time?
You going to win the league, Benny?
I hope so.
You're still not confident saying it yet?
Not yet, no, because listen, I've supported Arsenal for a long time, so I know exactly what can happen when it comes to crunch time in the season. When there's 3 games to go, then I'll start to say that I think we'll win it.
Okay. Why we've got you on, I don't know if you're at the top of the show, I'm sure you did. We were talking about Mitrovic. What did you make of what he did? What did you make of the fact that it could be a 3-game ban or even more?
Well, do you know what? Because I tweeted something last night which kind of blew up. And this is my point, right? Both of them, him, Mitrovic and Fernandes, both deserve bans. So you can't kind of separate one from the other. But I think the FA missed the trick by not setting a precedent with Fernandes by doing anything then. So that's kind of entitled Fulham fans to go, well, hold on a second.
Andy Townsend didn't think the Bruno one was that bad.
I thought it was. He shouldn't do it, but I thought it was petulant, Benty, rather than. I thought Mitrovic was bordering on a bit nasty. He was going a little way too far.
Yeah, Mitrovic, I mean, he was aggressive. But what my point is that obviously Fernandes has still put his hands on an official and they've kind of just waved it off. But I think from Mitrovic's point of view, yes, it was aggressive. It wasn't good. And I know the FA have missed the trick here, but at the end of the day, I'm not condoning any of it. I think Fernandes should have been banned, and I think Mitrovic should have been banned. But I can just understand Fulham's perspective when they're looking at, well, hold on, why has he got away with Fernandes and Mitrovic haven't? But saying that, both of them deserve bans, in my opinion.
Now, more importantly, Benty, have you got a little bell or something you ring when you want a cup of tea or whatever? What have you got? Or are you just yelling out? Coffee, tea. You know, are you just screaming at what's happening? Who's looking after you?
Nah, to be fair, I've not got a little bell, but like if I need a bit of help, I just call down and say, "Listen, can I have something?" What I am trying to do though, I'm not just trying to stay in the bed. I am trying to walk about with my crutches and get about. So, because I'm not really one of them people that can just sit there and do nothing, even if I'm told to do that. Even when I was a player and I was coming back from injury, I could never just sit there and watch TV for hours upon end. I'd always have to have a little walk about. Just to keep the blood moving.
Yeah.
All right, well, listen. Get well soon, Benny. We'll speak to you. We're not speaking to you tomorrow. We'll speak to you Wednesday, if that's okay with you.
Well, no. What if I want to speak tomorrow?
Well, speak to producer Joe. All right, he can sort that out. We'll get you on every day. How about that, Benny? All right.
Nah, this is a great show, guys, and I'll speak to you guys.
All right,
on Wednesday.
we miss you. We'll see you soon, Benny.
Top man, see you guys.
Bye bye.
There you go. The wonderful Darren Bent is recovering. It must have been horrible. Did you have any big long-term injuries?
Broken leg, loads of knees washed out, and I never did my cruciate, although I stretched them once, and I ran into Clarence Seedorf. Not a good idea.
Wow.
And hyperextended my knee in a game once. But
when you broke your leg, did you hear it?
Broke my leg. Yes, I heard it.
Who broke it?
Yeah. How about that? I went from Weymouth to Southampton, and as part of my deal to go from Weymouth to Southampton had to go back to Weymouth and play a game, and I busted it
in that game.
In that game.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that was early doors.
Yeah, I'm glad I brought that up.
Foot up after that.
What for? How long?
Well, no, when I say foot up, I mean when you break your leg in a tackle, then all of a sudden self-preservation starts to kick in.
I bet it does.
And you listen. You start to look after yourself a little bit more. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. Well, you look good. What are you pushing 65, 70?
Thank you.
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.